Okay, so I think we can definitely all agree that aside from Iron Man, Captain America, and Spidey, Loki easily has one of the best character arcs in the MCU. And for those who are shouting at the screen, what about the Guardians? The Guardians of the Galaxy had a great send off too. They had a great send off. But if I'm personally choosing between the Guardians and Loki, I'm choosing Loki's character arc because from where we met Loki in Kenneth Branagh's Thor to just the Avengers to the other Thor movies where he was involved, Thor 2, Thor Ragnarok, and then even where we met Loki in the beginning of this series to now, just where we are with his character at the end of this at the end of this season / series, because I really don't think there's a reason for this thing to continue, but where we are now with this character, this thing was really just written amazingly. Like, I am absolutely speechless. I'm speechless for actually a few reasons. One, because it proves to me that Marvel might actually know what they're doing and they're just trying to fuck people over just for cash grabs and dumb shit like that. And maybe they actually all along knew how to write some good fucking content and they just, for whatever reason, didn't want to. And I don't know, they just released Loki. But now, with you releasing Loki, I know you guys can make some good stuff again. I know you guys can bring Marvel back to where it needs to be. And honestly, with the way this ended and with the delays that they've announced, I believe that's going to happen. And I'm also speechless just because I didn't know this series would be so damn good like this. Like, yes, season 1 of Loki is easily one of the best Disney Plus Marvel shows that they released, period. That was my favorite. And then season 2 literally picked up where that show left off and gave us one of the best endings. I don't know if this is the last we'll ever see of Loki, but this is definitely one of the most beautiful endings to a character's story arc that I've seen in the MCU, aside from Iron Man, Cap, and Spidey. This is a beautiful, very beautifully told story and just incredible writing, and Tom Hiddleston as Loki, it will go down as one of the greatest characters in the MCU lore. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it's going to be a non-spoiler / minor spoiler, so my non-spoiler / Moiler minor spoiler review of Loki Season 2. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Loki Season 2. Like I said, it's going to be mainly a non-spoiler review and a minor spoiler review at the same time, only because in order for me to fully talk about the finale the way I want to, and I also want to talk about, what these delays for the MCU mean for the future of Marvel, and what this ending kind of set up for the future of Marvel. I kind of have to talk about the ending of this finale and the decision, one of the most selfless decisions / sacrifices I've seen since Tony Stark's death in Endgame. This thing was amazing. Look, just my overall thoughts. So the non-spoiler part of this thing, my overall thoughts of this series, or honestly, this season of Loki was tremendous. It was a tremendous follow-up to the incredible first season that we got, because one, from the very beginning, they stood on business. They stood right on the business that they set up in the first season. They made this very intense tone that Kang is coming. We need to do something about it. We need to figure out how to stop his variants and just stop this incredible threat from wiping us all out. It's ridiculous. And then, honestly, throughout the season, we just see Loki racing and trying to give people, like, the people that he has come to know and love at the TVA, he's trying to give them either their lives back or an opportunity to at least have the choice. And honestly, the character development of Loki has just been ridiculous. I mean, like I said, this dude was one of the most selfish, hateful bastards when we first meet him, and just throughout many different I'll say appearances throughout the MCU, we have just seen him kind of grow into this anti-hero. Honestly, Sony needs to take notes, because for all these anti-hero movies that they keep trying to make, this is how you write an anti-hero. Loki is how you develop and flesh out an anti-hero and make him into somebody who is just so lovable and somebody to root for. And just by the end of this thing, you are literally, I was in tears. I was in tears because of how far Loki has come, and I know for a fact Thor and Odin would absolutely be so proud of the Loki that we are seeing now, and the sacrifice that this dude made to keep the TVA alive and keep his friends alive in their different timelines and things like that. But as far as the entire season Loki goes, look, everybody's performances was amazing. Owen Wilson as Mobius, Ki Hui Kwan as OB. I gotta make sure I get her name right. Her name is Sophia D. Martin as Sylvie. Everybody just came back and did a phenomenal job. I absolutely love the intensity of this show. Oh, Juju Macbeth Raw. I'm really messing up her name, but I think that's how you say her name. But she did a great job as well. Look, the performances in this show were amazing. The storytelling was spot on. The writing, how everything came just full circle, like Kang said it would. How He Who Remains literally said, you are going to end up right back in this spot over and over and over. I absolutely loved the way that this thing played out. Now, I mean, that's really like as non-spoiler as I can get. I really do have to kind of go into detail of the finale to really get my full thoughts fleshed out on this thing. So here's your minor spoiler warning here, your Moiler warning, if you would. Really, I'm just going to be talking about the fact that in the finale, really when it came down to them, Loki coming back to that in that moment where Sylvie killed He Who Remains in the beginning, or I'm sorry, at the end of season 1, him coming back to that moment and realizing that he has to make a very tough decision. He either has to kill Sylvie or just literally keep letting this happen and keep letting her. He has to. Okay, let me get my words together. He has to kill Sylvie, or he has to keep coming back to this moment where he literally just going to keep letting her kill him, and they're just going to keep running into the same issues and same problems. And the thing that I absolutely loved about the entire He Who Remains and Loki dynamic at the end of this season 2 finale here was the fact that Kang knew the entire time what Loki was up to. And that just makes Kang an even more fearsome and even more terrifying character. Oh, I didn't even get to credit Jonathan Majors, but like, it's like, should that eat? Like, I feel like that's just so obvious at this point. Like, what's the point of even praising Jonathan Majors for just giving, again, such an amazing performance? Not only is Victor timely, but He Who Remains. I mean, just this dude knows how to put the fear of God in the people, man. Like, this dude is an absolute beast of an actor. I am really hoping that Kang is not done in the MCU. I am really hoping that which I will address in a second, but due to the ending, there is a possibility that I think two things could possibly happen. Kang is definitely still out there and his variants are still running around, and they do address that. But at the same time, I do believe that this ending does kind of give off a reason for them to move into another direction. But you can also come back to Kang if everything works out with Jonathan Majors' trial. But I hope it does, because there's still a Kang Dynasty movie announced, and this Jonathan Majors he's needed. Jonathan, if you really want to bring Marvel back to its glory days, I really think Jonathan Majors needs to be played out as Kang, because him as He Who Remains is just absolutely ridiculous. But like I was saying, the conversation between the two at the end of this finale here, where Loki realizes that he has a glorious purpose and needs to make a very hard decision, and that leads up to a very wondrous sacrifice that you just never in your life would think that Loki would make. And honestly, it ties back to so many previous things said to Loki about him, even in the first Avengers, when Iron Man said, like, there's no throne, there's no situation where you win. And that's how Loki's felt his entire life. That's just been Loki's whole story, where he feels like he's never been able to win the throne that he's chasing. He's never really going to be able to get. He's never really going to be able to sit there. Even when he's sitting in that conversation even when he's sitting at the, and I know I'm kind of bouncing around, so I'm sorry. I'm definitely going to go back to the Jonathan Majors and Loki conversation. But when he's sitting there with Mobius and chained up from like it's like it's not necessarily a flashback, but he like kind of flashes forward, or flashes like a flashpoint moment to a moment that they had in season 1. He's literally telling Mobius before the Loki from the present comes that I want the throne. This is the reason I'm here. And then the actual Loki that we have been caught up with gets in that spot, and him and Mobius are having this conversation where Mobius is like, yeah, hard decisions have to be made. It's just things that just have to happen, and it's a very beautiful moment between the two characters, a very beautiful conversation where Loki realizes that in order for me to save everyone, I'm going to have to use my god powers, my godlike powers, and just sacrifice myself to be able to keep these branches together and create something new and create something stable and create I'm gonna just call it the tree of life, which basically is that's what it is. It's Loki's decision to actually do something new, so he doesn't necessarily have to, lose. He doesn't necessarily have to kill Sylvie. He has to sacrifice himself, and it's for someone who's always felt so alone in the universe as Loki has, and now that he's finally found people who he feels like he can actually sacrifice that, like, his loneliness for. That just really broke me. That just really that was just some brilliant writing right there. That's some Attack on Titan ass writing right there. Like I said, Marvel has shown that they probably they definitely still know what the heck they're doing when it comes to making great quality content. They just, for some reason, are just going this cash grab route. But like, I will address the Marvel's future in just a second. But as far as the Jonathan Majors and Loki conversation, that really held so much weight on Loki as well, because it's like, first of all, Kang knew what you were doing the entire time, and he kept telling you guys, like, you're going to end up at this moment over and over and over and over. Like, whether or not you want to believe me, you can find out for yourself. It's just, we can do this all day. Literally, Kang can do this all day. Some Captain America type shit. But it was just such a beautiful full frontal moment, a full circle moment, that Loki literally realized that in order to make actual change, I am going to have to be the sacrifice that the world needs to see. And such a beautiful character moment for him. Now, as far as the future of the MCU itself, Loki's sacrifice, as they addressed in the show at the ending of this episode, they said that the Kang variants are still running around. They even addressed the fact that the one in Quantumania was doing something on a planet, but they had it handled. They showed pictures in the file of Jonathan Majors doing the, Kang blast or whatever from Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So there are still Kang variants running around. It's just at the same time, I believe with these, I'm not going to call them new timelines until that's like fully addressed, but this new life that they have, with Loki being the actual tree of life, being the thing that's holding all these timelines together, with Loki being that, I think that they could go multiple different directions. I think that they are honestly able to either continue the Kang story if they need to go that route, which I am definitely hoping they do, or they could maybe scrap it. I don't really hope that's the case, because like I said, they did address that the Kang variants are still running around, but I think they're only doing that to kind of save face and be like, all right, like, they are still out there, but we gotta wait for Jonathan Major to figure out what's going on there, and we can continue that story. Or they can finally address what the fuck the Eternals guy, that big fucking statue from Eternals is doing in the Earth. Maybe they can finally address that, and we can, just let that close the chapter in that book. Or we can finally find out where Shang-Chi is. Something, if they want to address that too. I don't know. But as far as the future of the MCU goes after this finale here, I think it definitely opened a lot of possibilities and a lot of different outcomes that could happen. I'm excited for it. And I know I just came out with a video saying that, what the fuck is the MCU doing? Which I still stand by a lot of the things I said in that video, especially the Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman leading the Avengers. No, they're even talking about Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans coming back as their characters. I'm not in full agreement with that. If it's written well, which honestly, due to the way this finale ended, I'm like, okay, maybe that could work. I don't necessarily know how you guys are going to do that, but please don't do it to the point where you just make Tony Stark's death just irrelevant, and Steve Rogers' old man Cap, don't make those moments irrelevant, because what? No, don't do that. But the ending definitely opened a lot of possibilities, and you can tell that Marvel is actually probably trying to learn from their mistakes and make great quality content again, because they have pushed majority of their films back to 2025, and the only thing coming out next year is Deadpool 3, which is going to push the X-Men agenda full in the front. So I'm excited for that. But it's, them pushing everything back to 2025 is them realizing that, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board and actually create a consistent, cohesive story that we can actually follow now, because like the entire Loki series, or the entire Loki season 2, I'm literally sitting here saying, worrying about what the rest of the MCU is going to bring us, because I'm like, they're not going to follow this tone. The Marvels did not follow the tone of Loki at all, but I don't think it wasn't necessarily supposed to, but I'm just saying nothing is necessarily having this much intensity as Loki season 2 as far as the future MCU project go. So them pushing everything back is them saying, okay, we have now gotten to a point where we can actually write this thing back and possibly bring the excitement back to the MCU again. So I think them actually delaying these films is actually them learning from their mistakes. Hopefully, I have fingers crossed. And for those who are complaining that there's only one MCU project coming out next year as far as movies go, because I think there are a few shows coming out next year. Echo's coming out in January or February or whatever. But for everybody complaining that there's only one MCU movie coming out, you guys can't have it both ways. You guys can't complain that there's just too much quantity over quality at this point, and then complain, oh my god, we're only getting one MCU movie. Like, guys, no, they need to go back to the drawing board and write this thing correctly, because Loki truly showed us that they can still do that. Loki showed us that they can still save this, they can still salvage this MCU that we have all loved and adored. And I really hope people get back to the point of getting excited about these projects, or they honestly, Marvel really has to get us to that point to where people can be excited about these projects again. But Loki, people need to watch Loki, because this is showing that Marvel does still have something in the tank, and they need to build off everything that this series gave us. And please give us the MCU that we deserve again, because we don't want to hate the MCU. At least I don't. I don't want to sit there and hate on the MCU. I want the MCU to be as great as it was when I was first coming up and watching these movies. I want it to be great again. And I think that they definitely have the ability to do so, but we just have to wait and see for that. But look, my overall thoughts of this series, the entire series of Loki, is that it's fucking phenomenal. This is easily one of the best Disney Plus MCU shows, easily one of the best Disney Plus shows. Tom Hiddleston as Loki is ridiculous. He is amazing. He is one of the best characters in the MCU, period. Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely / He Who Remains, a scene stealer in every sense of the word. He is a scene stealer in all of these performances. Everyone in this entire series itself was just absolutely phenomenal, and I loved it. So guys, that's my thoughts on Loki season 2 / necessarily the series, and my thoughts on what's next for the MCU itself. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and so much more, guys. I really do appreciate it. I already did like, share, and subscribe. Sorry. This is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.